You can now listen to episodes of the Flying Monkey Podcast anywhere podcasts are available, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and more. You can also watch the video podcast on our YouTube and Rumble channels. Just search the Flying Monkey Podcast and make sure to subscribe and share. You're watching the Flying Monkey Podcast. All right, folks. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Flying Monkey Podcast. And we've got kind of a double episode here. We got parent stories and advocates. So we have with us today Keith Marsolek. How you doing today, Keith?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for having me on board today, Tommy.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on. We've tried a couple times and just schedules and everything keep us, but here we are. We got it done. So we're here today. So why don't we just do a little short story about kind of your story and what led you into your advocacy? So you're an alienated father, and
I don't like to say father or mother because I'm a children's rights advocate by choice. So I don't participate in the father's rights or the mother's rights ideology. I'm for the inalienable rights of all children to have a loving, bonding relationship with both parents and their family members, regardless of how the other parent may feel.
Yep.
So that's been my stance from day one. I'm the founder of Parental Alienation Worldwide Foundation. They have subsequent support groups, several. And I do mainly on Facebook. I am on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on pretty much the major social medias, except for, of course, TikTok.
Yeah. That's pretty great, though. So how long have you had your organization?
Well, I started out with a private group. It's called Alienated Family Members, and that started back in about 2011, just after my second divorce.
Okay, so about 14 years. Wow, that's a long time. Yeah. So, I noticed, like, when I'm out there looking at, because I'm an alienated parent, and it's tough. And when you're going through it, you're just searching for help and someone to give you a, lending hand, or someone to guide you or tell you, just to maybe even reinforce the insanity that you've just lived. Is it real? Is it true? Does this happen? And why is this happening? How can they get away with this? And, so you start to search and dig and find these different groups and places. And, that's where I ran into your stuff a few years back. And I was just like, it's always been so helpful. And then I just see you helping others so much. And, everywhere I look, I'm like, there's Keith. He's giving someone hugs or sending love or giving him his 2 cents to kind of put him on the right track. And then it's a horrible thing to go through. And it's just great to have people that are actually out there trying to help and that do good for others.
My story started when, because obviously I got into it the second time with my second marriage, and started to study, like you, and started to research and reach out and try to figure out, what was going on and why it was going on. And I started my advocacy work out of frustration of, going to several different, quote, nonprofit organizations. And all they wanted to do, I was trying to look for answers. And all everybody wanted to do was sell me bracelets or sell me books or sell me something other than just answering a simple, unfortunately, in most of we see today, when people get a hold of you, they want it, obviously on Facebook, they want to leave you something that's, this long in their entire life story. And I just wanted, I had specific questions and I needed specific answers. And I couldn't find anybody that would give me that. It was just, here, buy my book. So, buy our bracelets, come and take this course. And, it's like, for one, that was back in the day of Barnes and Nobles. I know where to go buy books. If I need to find answers in a book, I can go there. I don't need someone trying to hawk their stuff. So that was kind of why I started my advocacy work, and for the first 10 years, I did it all for free.
Yeah.
So, and I had Parental Alienation Worldwide Support Group. We had about 37. We're getting on the close to the 40,000 member mark
Wow. That's
from all over the
that's
world.
that's amazing. I mean,
So,
that's great for the group that all these people can find the help, but it's sad. The truth of it is sad that we have so many of us around the world that are going through this abuse. It's just it's out of control now.
well, once I started digging and I started, understanding and realizing, and I went and saw, a lot of our audience, or a lot of your audience may know or have heard of, Dr. Craig Childress. He was my original medical consultant when I started down this road. Went and got some paid help from him because I figured out, that it's a pay to play system, so you're going to have to pay. Unfortunately, it's a really expensive pay to play system. So I finally went to a subscriber based support group system, um, because I figured, I've been seeing through 15 years that everybody wants to complain and everybody wants to gripe, but nobody wants to put boots on the ground. Nobody wants to bleed. Nobody wants to sacrifice anything, quote, money. And of course, that's because they've up to this point, they've made bad decisions, bad financial decisions. And so my kind of philosophy, since I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a medical health professional, licensed medical health professional, I don't really give advice with a C. I give advice with an S. And I have a Bruce Lee kind of ideology to this. Is I'm just a teacher. I'm here to just guide you and point you in the right direction and let you discern the truth for yourself. And so I have kind of a niche. I can find information very fast because I know how to ask the computer, Google, the right questions in order to get the right answers as
Yeah.
quickly as possible, which, because most of us that are going through this, we don't have a lot of time. I mean, Friday rolls around, you usually get punched in the face on a Thursday or Friday in court, and you have to have some sort of answer by Monday or Tuesday, which means you have to file paperwork. Most people have given all that knowledge or idea over to an attorney who basically blood sucks you to death because it's all about billable hours. And
Yep.
so you really don't get too much accomplished for your $2,500, $3,500, $5,000 retainer. And so I've tried to do something that's, that generates some revenue, but also is cheap enough so the average person could actually pay something to get some help.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the hard thing too. You got a lot of different factors involved, a lot of misleading information, a lot of big egos that think they know it all, and they're completely wrong because they were indoctrinated, like we all have been, to believe a lot of things that are not. We think it's normal, but and it's the way things have been, and when they keep telling us it's this way, but it's not. So it gets confusing. It gets hard. People do need to make a living, obviously. So if someone's going to put 24/7 all their effort and time into helping others, how are they going to pay their bills? So obviously they have to charge too. So, there's that fine line, like you said, just a happy medium somewhere where someone that will actually help you, do some help, and it's not going to, break the bank. But, I also see a lot of people out there taking positions and stating things that are fact that that they say are fact and they're not. And it creates the division like you were talking about. It's not about moms and dad. It's about the kids and families and parents. So because this happens to both moms and dads, they both get alienated from their kids. And the saddest and sickest thing of it all is that it's all caused by the system, the court system, and the
Well,
lawyers
it's
and the
the
psychology.
system. My feelings are that the system does have a partial, I guess, blame for it. But being in aerospace for 20 years and being a quality systems manager, I'm my philosophy comes down to a root cause. There's a root cause for everything. And
Yeah.
most people don't like to hear what the root cause is. And the root cause is the person standing in the mirror. Why? Because it always takes two to fight. Because if one person's just fighting, then they're the crazy person standing at the street corner talking to the street lamp. So it always takes two people to fight. And how you do that, obviously, when you're in a war, is the most important. And I'm not here to save people money. That's not my issue. I'm here to try and save people time because time is but of the essence, and I know how the system works, and the time is not on your side.
Yeah, no, it's
And they
not.
use that, the system, the court systems, and everybody else that's involved in those court systems. They use the stretch out time method, where that's, the longer you stay away from a child, the farther they get, from you.
Yeah, the more alienated they are, the more damaged is the attachment to you. And
And so,
but the reason they're doing that though is to make more money. It just keeps
well, of
going on
course,
and on and on. So,
because
money's
it's
the
all
factor.
billable hours, and all based on Title 4D out of the Social Security Act.
Yeah. So that was my next question. You just mentioned it. You have a proposal out or a petition, I suppose. Is it? How would we
Uh,
categorize it?
well, both. I have a driving effort after 13 years of research and hearing everybody's, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of complaints, not only in the United States, from around the world, because my mission and my objective is worldwide. I'm not, you see a lot of people that are doing states and municipalities and counties and towns, and I
Yeah.
I understand that this is much bigger than that. It's a global problem, and seems to be with any kind of government that has a westernized ideological framework. They've taken the same framework that the United States put forth into their own systems, and it's wreaked havoc. My thought is, we come across thousands and, hundreds of thousands of parents. Well, we're adults, and look how much problems we're having dealing with, not only the system, but the mental health ramifications, the loneliness, the estrangement, the alienation. Well, we're adults, and we're supposed to have our cognitive and thinking caps on, and we have problems. So if we're having this kind of an issue and a problem, I mean, you can only imagine what children are going through. Well, I can, because my parents divorced when I was 2.
Yeah.
So I know what it's like being coming from a child into this issue. I also know it from an adult. So I also take it from both our perception and the system's perception.
Yeah,
So
I see, and that's big of you. It
I
really
mean,
is. I mean, it is.
I really wouldn't want to be a judge. I mean, you take yourself out from your emotion and what's going on, and you put yourself in that judge's shoes and what he has to go through and see on a daily basis. We only see a tiny strip because that's just our case
Yeah,
and what we deal with, in the hour or 2 hours that we're going into court. And, we may hear one or two other cases, but we're so focused on our own that we close out what the big picture is. And I'm not trying to say that they're just or unjust. I'm just saying that at the current situation, they have a job to do too. And I wouldn't want to be in that job dealing with what I hear and what I read every day, and have that on an in and out basis, 30, 40, 50 people, couples every single day, Monday through Friday.
yeah.
I wouldn't
No, I
want to
know.
I wouldn't want to try to oversee that. But
Yeah,
they do it. Why? Because they're usually making $200,000 a year, and it all comes from judge financing. But the family courts are financed through Title D.
yeah, yeah. So why don't we explain that to people who are watching the show? So what is Title 4D?
Title 4D is the mechanism. It was enacted in 1935. The original intent was to help out families. Quote. Unfortunately, through our government and our bureaucracies, and through several amendments, the Bradley Amendment, which made retroactive child support plausible, and the Parents Deadbeat Reporting Act, which was basically law enacted by Clinton for welfare recovery, and which basically now made poor parents who can't afford to pay some astronomical child support, and they say, well, they're not astronomical. Well, if you got somebody that's on the verge of homelessness, or doesn't have working at Burger King before $20 an hour set in, it's hard to make a $600 or $700 or $1,000 a month child support payment and pay your rent and pay your card payment and pay your insurance and pay, and you're basically delegated now as the loser, non-custodial parent, to pay for both households. And if you don't do that, you go to jail. If a parent withholds a child, well, you have to jump through a whole bunch of loopholes and they don't go to jail. They get a slap on the
Exactly.
hand and say, stop doing that. And so
Yeah.
Title D funds the child welfare and child enforcement structure within the family court system.
So it's federal tax dollars taken out of the Social Security fund to
Correct.
pay. So to pay, well,
It's
see,
it's
this is kind of misleading to some folks because I see the news twisting things in articles too. You know, oh, they're cutting here, they're cutting there. It's going to hurt all these things, but all these organizations have done so much damage to society and families that it actually needs to stop, and they need to go
well,
away. But
it's based on it. If you've noticed, if you've read that, listened to the news lately, and they've kind of brought it out into light for the general public to understand that when the government does something, they do it on what they call a grant-based system.
okay,
That's Title 4D. It's a grant-based system. Our child support enforcement agencies, which are administerial, not law, they're only law by their actions, not by their what they're, as far as what they're going through doing. And so they apply, they say, hey, we've set up this child support enforcement system to go after these, quote, deadbeat parents for back child support. Well, it's not really for back child support. Why? Well, first of all, you're getting a grant that pays you roughly 66 to 80 cents per dollar that you're spending for the enforcement purpose of collecting child support from orders from a family court judge. Or usually it's not even a family court judge. You end up going into some commissioner and they put you into what they call a disomaster, put your numbers in and go, okay, this is what you owe.
huh,
And they have some discretion, leeway on that. But most of once again, you're trying to cancel a contract, a marriage contract, but you're still told that you have to pay for both.
yeah. So
And
for
so it's very
example,
hard, but it's on a grants based system. So if you have a child support enforcement agency that you want to do, you file to the government for that grant money. And what is grant money? All grant money is free.
to the
So,
recipient,
so that to the recipient, they don't
but
have
not
to
free
pay
to the
it.
citizens. We have to
It's
pay. It's
well,
out our tax dollars.
correct, because what they do is they take that tax dollar that's in this fund. You file for a grant, you get that grant money. Okay, it's costing us $1 billion. Okay, you're going to get 2.8 million or whatever. What they do is the courts go, here, we have child support orders, and they're worth so much money. They give those to child support enforcement. Child support enforcement turns around and goes, hey, government, we've got this many orders for child support. Well, now whether they collect that or not is irrelevant. They still get that amount of grant money.
Wow.
And they're supposed to take that grant money. $35 of it is obviously for quote fees, or $25, whatever your state does. And then that goes forward to pay for now. Title 4D in child support enforcement is only mandatory in the United States if the other party has filed for welfare benefits, because that's what the 1975 bill is. It's called the Deadbeat Parent Recovery Act. That means they're trying to recover welfare benefits paid out to the non-custodial parent when they file, when the non-custodial parent doesn't believe that that child support is enough, or the parent runs into problems and a couple months can't pay for it. Well, that's where that mechanism kicks in. They file for child support enforcement. Then what you do is the feds give the state the money. They go after you, the non-custodial parent, to collect that money, which is basically a repayment of welfare, SNAP. And then it doesn't matter as long as it's welfare. And welfare means SNAP, food stamps, emergency aid, medical. So it's your Medicaid, your Medi-Cal, or whatever your state produces. Ours is Medi-Cal.
Yeah.
And so that instantly, boom, triggers the red flag in the computer systems for the child support enforcement. And now they're collecting your child support that you're paying into their system that they've required to literally pay them back for the welfare that they had to give to the non-custodial parent.
And they're taking the 66 cents per dollar
And they're
and
still taking the
receiving
60
that
cents per dollar.
basically as profit, or
Correct.
if you will.
And before this year, California only used to pass through what it was called a pass-through state. And so when they would get this money, because someone filed, remember, child support is mandatory only when the other parent files for welfare benefits. If the other parent isn't on welfare benefits, then they cannot enforce child support.
So then, okay, so
That's
I'm
per the
sorry to
law.
interrupt you, but that just this point, because the listeners are having this question. So there's parents out there, both parents are working, they're getting divorced, and they're still ordering one of the parents to pay child support.
Correct. You can argue that because it's a voluntary system at that point.
But they don't tell you that. They just scare the
Correct.
hell out of you.
Of course, they're not. If you've got somebody that's trying to sell you a Cadillac at a Volkswagen dealership, they're not going to talk to you about the Volkswagen. They're going to continue to talk to you about the Cadillac, even though you came in for a Volkswagen, and they know you came in for a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
But why would they do that? Remember, they get money from the grant process, which is free money.
Yeah.
Why would you
Taxpayer
chop off
dollars.
your legs to free money? So they don't tell you that it's voluntary, and people just, okay, it's a judge ordered it. Well, you can, if you know prior. The problem is most people don't know prior. They only know after the fact, and once again, that's too late.
What? Okay, but I mean, I would just want to say, is there a statute or is there a precedent that folks could use to say, wait a minute, time out here. You never told me this. It's happening.
No,
I'm
because
not asking for the past money, but I want to know. I'm telling you right now, this is illegal. This isn't correct, and I'm not going to be prey to this anymore. I'm not going to do it.
Only if that other parent has not filed for any kind of welfare benefits. Remember, food stamps, you can apply. Medi-Cal, you can apply. And if you're a single mother, remember, and this is the only part that's biased in the system and that I don't agree with, is the system was designed for single mothers. It's not designed for single fathers.
Yeah. Well,
and their reasoning is to try and keep mother and the child off of welfare. But guess what? As soon as you go talk to anybody within that system, the first thing they tell you is to sign up to these programs. Why? Because that kicks in all the federal free grant money to their bureaucracies.
Yeah, amazing.
It's literally a cash cow. I mean, $70 billion and only 6% went to child support enforcement in the 2024 budget for families.
That's insane.
And they've buried this. And this is, if you look at Social Security Title IV is buried right in the middle, and it's right in the center of the welfare.
Huh.
If it's not corrupt and they're not trying to RICO the money, launder the money, why would you put a reimbursement system inside of our welfare? Well, once again, as we've been seeing with what's going on politically, and I don't like to be political because it divides more people than it brings together.
I hear you.
That's how you make something illegal legal, is you bury it so deep within departments. Because remember, who leads Social Security? Remember, Social Security used to be its own department, but it's not its own department anymore. It falls under Health and Human Services. Well, within that Health and Human Services, you have also several other departments. You have the Department of Child Support Enforcement. You have the Department for Families. And those all get tied in, and those are all being funded through this Title IV money, which is okay if they went to their original intent, which was to take care of folks. But they've gone beyond their original intent to what it is today, which is basically it's just a way to launder large sums of money.
And take more taxpayer dollars.
You grew up Social Security, that's my retirement. Well, if that's my retirement, why is this in the middle of my retirement? because they're used because it's the only place they have a big giant chunk of change that they can take and go
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I was gonna. That's what I was about to say. Is that you know, you always hear heard it for years. Like, oh, the Social Security fund's gonna disappear. But why is that? It's because they're milking our
because
money out of there instead of it
because
sitting
they
there
yeah
being
because
collected, waiting for you to retire.
they spend it on everything else other than your retirement.
Yes, I know. Because
And
if you
actually,
think
the
about it,
fallacy is, and this is kind of where I figured everything out. And the day the light bulb clicked on, my friend, everything that we've been taught, learned, or shown, it's all a lie. It's all been a lie.
yeah, there's a lot of bullshit. I know. I'm seeing it. I see it.
And
And
so
sometimes I tell people, and
that's kind of where I come from, my philosophy and how I treat my clients and how I act with my clients. If you come with that basis that everything you've been taught, told, or shown up to this point has all been a lie, then we can start to repair and heal how we think and how we act.
yeah, yeah. And the thing is too, it's grown to such a big problem because it's been happening for 60 years. And like you said, divorced family. My parents got divorced, in my adolescent years and stuff, and it wasn't so bad. I mean, I'm looking now, going, wait a minute, man, my parents were great. I got to see my dad. I got to call him on the phone every single day if I wanted to, or he'd call me
That's
and just say,
that's
"What's
because
up, kiddo?"
that's because
And
our generation that system hadn't been uh,
damaged,
financialized yet. I
or
mean,
well, emotionally damaged, or psychologically damaged, or attachments weren't damaged. We really still had our extended families around us at that point.
correct. Well, in
And
1975, Ford put in the child support. He created the Child Support Enforcement Act. That's
yeah,
President Ford did that. So that started the financial incentives started in 1975. Up until then, it was completely up to the states, locals, and to work out whatever child support needed to be done.
yeah, yeah.
And our government, Big Daddy, comes in and says, no, we're going to take care of this. We're going to do better. Why? Because they had once again, what's the root cause? The root cause was so many single moms bearing children out of wedlock.
Johnson did that in the six, what 60 in the 60s,
Johnson did 1963.
civil rights, right?
He started what they call the war on poverty. That's kind of what started. That's what kind of took us over the into the wrong direction.
Yeah,
What was during the Lyndon Johnson administration when he did the war on poverty. That was to take basically that was the great idea of once again a redistribution of wealth, taking from the people that have and giving it to the have-nots and going, look, we've solved poverty. Well, we've spent about $27 trillion since then on the war on poverty. And as we all look outside and drive down the highways, uh, once again, we've been, for a better word, pissing money down the toilet for 65 years,
yeah,
doing the same thing over and over again, thinking that it's going to create a different result somehow.
yeah, and that's just insanity, right?
And
That's what
that's the
Einstein
lie.
said.
That's
Yeah,
the
no,
lie.
exactly it is. And they keep pretending, but it's all, it's also, I mean, there we go into politics. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't even say it. Just it's communism, Marxism, socialism, and none of it ever works. Look at the countries that have implemented it. They all failed, or they're all dying, or they're just there's no quality of life if they even
Well,
exist still, which they do.
and I see it here, like once again, without being political, but I see and read it
Yeah.
and hear it here. I hear so many people free, free. How come you don't do this for free? How come you don't give this out for free? How come you're not helping me for free? Well, I've only got two words: free, no value.
Yeah.
That's all I got to tell you. That's
Yeah.
what
Well,
free.
no,
That's
exactly.
what free equals. No value.
Yep. No, you're
That
exactly right. That's
and
a
that
great
is
way
the
to put it.
definition of free. So if you'd like something, I recommend I shoot people to other groups, other support systems all the time. You want free, go have free. But I'm just telling you,
Yeah.
you're not gonna. There's no value in that. Why? Because that's the
No.
definition of free. No value.
Exactly. Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, it's crazy.
So, but at this point, I'm just trying to push financial and getting and I'm a not for profit. I'm not a nonprofit. Why? An NGO, well, we see in today's headlines what NGOs are.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't become an NGO. Why? Because a nonprofit, guess what? Now you're asking permission and getting licenses from the very entities that you're trying to fight against. That
Yeah.
doesn't make a lot of logical sense to me. That's why I've never become a quote nonprofit.
Yeah.
I'm a philanthropist. And so I push basically for contributions. Those contributions go into a bank account to collect interest, and hopefully they'll stay there and we can collect enough funds someday to actually hire the right people to do the right thing, to go talk to Congress and get Title 4D repealed.
Yeah.
But guess what? You can't do that for free like anything else in this world. It takes money, it takes funding in order to get the right people in order to do the right job.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at after 13, 14 years of doing this.
Yeah, that's something I've seen too. There's so many of these websites or pages or groups, and they're all, no, I shouldn't say all of them, but so many of them. It's just all about themselves, about what they want to say and do and post. And I guess they're making money off the reels and the views or something. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me why,
Well, it's like the
if
news.
I had 500,000 people and you had 100,000 and this person had 20,000, why can't we get all those people together and say, okay, everyone needs to sign a petition here. We're going to send to Congress, and everybody here needs to, make a video stating they were abused and call out the people who did it. And why can't
I did that. I did that when Parental Alienation Worldwide Support Group had close to 40,000 members. I went, hey, you know what? Everybody, if we put in $1,
Yeah,
it go over to this fund, and with 30,000 people, that will grow exponentially, and you can start paying things and doing things to get push what our agenda is.
exactly.
Everybody, all I got was, oh my God, I cannot believe you're asking $1 from parents that have gone through this system and have been wrung through. And my personal thought is, and this can go out to your all listeners, and I hope y'all are listening. If you don't have $1 for a subscription service, you can't do anything. You need to go sit in a corner, be quiet, and watch everybody else. Why? Because the truth of the matter, this system is a pay-to-play system. If you don't have $1, you don't have a snowball chance and nothing of even getting back with your kids.
Yeah, it's tough.
Because
it's really
because
tough.
when you create a broke parent, you create a parent that's depressed and won't make once again, anytime you get your emotions in, you will never make a good decision. Nobody ever made a good decision mad or upset. Nobody has.
No. Oh,
and that's usually where most people are the entire time that they're going through this, is they're mad at the system, they're mad at their ex, they're mad at the gals, they're mad at everybody else. It's everybody else's problem. And what I do with my clients is I just hold it up in a mirror and look. The root cause starts with yourself. If you can't change you, how are you going to expect to change anything else in this world?
Yeah.
You won't. It won't ever happen.
Yeah. Well, every situation's different too. I mean, some people
it is. Oh no, I understand.
got blindsided and really didn't do anything.
But if you
some
can't
did.
change yourself and you can't
Well, yeah,
change
you
the
have
way
to
you're
grow.
doing things, you can't expect anything else or anyone else to change. It just
right.
it won't happen.
Yeah, I know. So, where can folks go to?
I'm on Facebook. You can look up my name, Keith R. Marsolek. I have two of that name. I have lots of support groups. If you just type in Parental Alienation Worldwide, you will see a list, and we're all on Facebook. And I picked Facebook, and I don't have any websites. I picked Facebook because it's the only place on the planet where you might have a possibility of getting 1.8 billion eyeballs.
Thanks for watching the Flying Monkey podcast. Like, follow, and subscribe to our social media sites on Facebook, X, YouTube, Rumble, TikTok, and Truth Social. You can also go straight to our webpage at www.flyingmonkeypodcast.com.
A system that profits from conflict cannot deliver peace. It happens to mothers, it happens to fathers, and it happens to grandparents. But it's the children who suffer most. Stuck in family court? It's time to take action. You're not alone. We can help. Parents ask, we answer. Talk with us today. Click the link below to make an appointment to talk with us for free.